Hi everyone, welcome you all to Nestl's Co-working. So today we have this event and I would like to introduce the person who would be introducing our speaker. Miss A.B. Manju holds Bachelor of Law from Government Law College, Coimbatore, and she has also obtained her Masters in Law, specialization in Intellectual Property Law and Environmental Law from Cochin University of Science and Technology. She has started her career with Wright and Marks, Chennai, and thereafter moved to VMJ Associates, Chennai, where she had the opportunity to work under the guidance of the present Additional Solicitor General Advocate N. Venkataraman, where she handled taxation matters before the High Court and various tax appellate authorities. Subsequently, she moved on to Tony and Tony Advocates, High Court of Kerala, where she handled matters relating to IP, taxation and commercial laws. Her experience extends to the entire gamut of IP laws, which includes prosecution, enforcement, management, and advisory relating to trademarks, copyright, patent, and design. She currently holds the position of Associate Partner at Alticit Global Cochin, where she is managing the IP portfolio of various clients. Let us welcome her.
Introduce you the two eminent speakers we have with us for the evening. Mr. Deepu, Xavier, and Mr. Jyothis, co-founders of Zappyhire software company in Cochin. Everyone, please give a massive round of applause to them. Mr. Deepu Xavier has spent 15 years of working across various tech domains such as AI, ML, NLP, financial services, insurance automated, and product development with Infosys, Bosch, and Oracle. Before co-founding Zappyhire, he was the principal product manager of Java and programming language at Oracle. He was featured in the Young Leaders of India list of Economic Times in 2012, apart from being a frequent speaker at various international conferences and Java user groups. Please give a round of applause. So now, talk about Mr. Jyothis. He has spent 15 years of experience in the IT management and entrepreneurship in the AI space. He led truncated project delivery in information technology for companies such as Cognizant and Infosys. Before co-founding Zappyhire, Mr. Jyothis had worked with Cognicore, a conversational AI company in Spain, as Chief Operating Officer and managed Asia sales, being a 5DE rated player. So everyone, please give a round of applause and please welcome to this meeting.
Asking questions to us, or how is this?
So what's the model here? Just start speaking out.
You can start with the story, right?
Right. So maybe I'll just start. So we both met in way back in 2004, I think, in Infosys. We were working in the same project, and then we deputed to Zurich, Switzerland for around 2-3 years, and apparently we were roommates there. So from there onwards, we were discussing different ideas how to create a startup company, especially in IT. And then nothing happened at that point of time, and he moved to Bosch and I moved to Cognizant at that point of time. But still we were keep discussing multiple ideas over the phone. And then in 2013, I landed a Spanish startup in Kochi, and that's a conversational AI startup, and that's been grown to around 70 plus people, 2 million ARR business, and it went well. By the time Deepu was moving to Oracle at that point of time, into the product side of programming Java language. Then we were keep discussing about different ideas, and then we started getting teasing from our own families that we've been discussing this idea for a long time, but nothing happened. And one day, Deepu decided to move back and settle in Kochi from Bangalore. That's the point where we start meeting each other a couple of times on for coffees and lunch and out dinners and so on and so forth. I think within 2 months of time, we started launch the Zappyhire. So that is how we started with the journey from a MNC's career to a startup career.
So just to add to that, what happened was that, just to complement that, in 2013, okay, so things were very settled, we were very comfortable with our own jobs. I was in Bangalore, I think he was in Cochin in 2013. So as you were saying, like we were keeping on discussing about every day, every week. I think there was one other new idea. We will discuss about, I think, some builder consolidation app, then some website builder product. And I don't know how many ideas we discussed. Even now we keep looking at one Excel sheet, Google sheet, which we used to maintain back in 2013. And it had multiple sheets. Each sheet had an idea name. But then the major thing was that at that time we were keeping on discussing at the comfort of a job. The biggest problem was that when it comes to a startup is to take that decision to quit the job and come out of that comfort zone. So I think that is the point. Until then, everyone is like a wannabe entrepreneur, and we were like there in that position from 2013. And there was one point where I came down from Bangalore. We met, I think, Varun, right?
Yeah.
So one of another startup founder. He's a Singapore-based startup founder, very much established. So this guy was in Cochin. We went and met him. We had what we believed is a solid idea. And we were almost at the verge of starting, but that also didn't pick up. I think that was in 2017.
Yes.
But that was the closest we could actually get to a startup. But then after that, in 2018, when things were like very much settled, and apparently normally people say that you start up when you don't have much of dependencies, right? Preferably when you are unmarried, when you don't have kids. But in our case, it was totally opposite. We had kids and we were married. The other way around. We married and we were kids. So that was the time when we decided that let's take a decision to quit and start. And I think even that pressure, actually, that dependency created a lot of positive impact because we didn't have a room to make an error. I mean, naturally, we say that startups is bound to fail. 95% of startups will fail, which is actually true. I mean, if you look at, we started operations in NASCOM 10,000 startup warehouse. So there, I think we started in 2018. And there was a cohort of people who were there, and primarily, I don't think maybe one or two is still in the industry. So it's a matter of luck, it's a matter of perseverance. I wouldn't put entirely on luck. Luck is there because you need to get a good team, and we were lucky enough to get a good team for sure. But other than that, it's perseverance, right? I mean, one day we think that everything is in place, on the next day, it's a roller coaster ride. I mean, you say everything is going down south. So it's like a heavy roller coaster ride, I would say. I mean, next week we are completing 4 years. So it's been like a roller coaster ride so far for us at least. I mean, it was.
I think it's everyone. I think startup journey is everyone. So one of the other challenges we were facing. The good thing what we did initially was, we didn't invest a lot into this company, right? Other than our time and effort and experience, not in terms of money. But we could actually close one of the good deal without even a product, right? So one of the bank agreed to take our product, but we sold the idea, we sold the concept, how this looks like, and they give us the project. It's a big amount project, and they said, we will give you 6 months time. You guys need to build this product and showcase to us, right? So we took that as a challenge. We got the PO, purchase order from the bank, and we show them a presentation, nothing more, nothing less, right? So there's no product as well. And then we worked as a consultative approach. We went and met them on a weekly basis, understand their problem, and we mapped it properly. We talked to a couple of people, and this is a new product in the HR domain. So we are not from HR domain, but so what we did is we started talking to the HR people a lot, and a couple of the HR veterans ready to be our mentors as well, right? And we took all this input and started talking to the customers. Then we found out there are pain points, there are areas which need to be connected properly. And then within 4 months or 5 months, we delivered that project. That gave a lot of confidence to the bank. And they've been with us for last 3 years because the first contract is for the 3 years contract. Now, last month, they extended that for the next 3 years as well. So now we have 6-year contract with our first customer, right? And from there, we didn't actually struggled a lot because, we identified that this can sell, and we understand there is a equation where you can properly play and get the revenue running, right? So we were very conscious in terms of spending. We don't want to go with the normal startup model of getting a very flashy office and taking handful salaries and all stuff. So we'll be very little conscious in terms of building our basics blocks properly, and we got a checks on the different stages of our company and different matters. From there, we built the next one. So it was like a very matured, I would say, little matured, little conservative. I don't know if that is true or nor was the right to do it in a startup, but we were little conservative in terms of building that thing, in terms of showing the lot of startup status quo. But in terms of other side, we will start understanding the customer. We start talking to the customers each and every time whenever we get a time. We even founders we will try to call them and try to see if there is any issue which they are facing. From there we closed around 40 plus customers, which is span across India, Europe, and US or so forth.
So I think, that journey was really good. There is a matter of luck also, because I remember, I think we met in Kolanchery, one coffee shop, right? We were actually sitting in a coffee shop that was just after we started the company, and we were discussing about this idea. And we had this idea, we had a solid thing like, if it's gonna work, this is a good idea. And we apparently got a call from one person saying that such a person is actually looking for a solution. Do you know any partners who can solve that? Apparently, that's why we believe in that luck factor also, because that ask was precisely matching with what we were discussing that day in that coffee shop in near Kolanchery. So that's when we thought, okay, let's go and talk to these guys and see. We went to them, as Jyothis said, it was just a PPT, nothing more than that. We shot the PPT, it sounds good, but you guys make income. So from that moment onwards, we actually went with those bank authorities to campuses. When they were conducting campus interviews, we went with them. We were actually collecting and distributing question papers so that at least we understand the problem on the ground. So that's where we believe that initially, before starting a business or entrepreneurship, is about finance, it's about unit cost, it's about making revenue, unicorn, million investment. But if you go to the crux, you understand that those are the secondary factors. The primary thing is basically how you solve the problem. So startup is, a business is always about understanding the problem of a particular customer and solving that. And when you're talking about SaaS, software as a service, which Zappyhire is, there's a slight difference that you can't just go to one customer, look at the problem and solve it. You have to go beyond that. You create a solution for one particular customer, that's it, that's the end of the journey, nothing beyond that. So then our thought process was, okay, if this particular bank had this problem, what about another bank? Will they buy the solution as is? Or do you have to customize for them, which is not a good model. For every customer, if you're going to customize, you're not running a SaaS product. And then we started talking to IT domain, and we started talking to hospital domain, and we were cautious enough to take the initial years, 2-3 years, we started taking customers from hand-picked domains, so that it's a validation that we can actually serve this entire gamut of, if not entire, but a wide span of customers. And that's when I think we have one of our customers sitting right behind you, Solfit. So they were one of the early adopters of our technology. So I think people like that, there was a lot of trust that our customers also gave to us, because initial days it's like, there were a lot of teething issues, I think they can vouch for that. There were a lot of issues, but people were patient enough, patient enough to say there are issues, but then we proactively solve it. We were able to accept the issue, and so I think the journey was like that. It's like, as I said, roller coaster. Today you feel everything is stable, you have built the best product in the world. Tomorrow 3 customers will say that it's crap, it's not going to work out. So once you are in the startup journey, you'll understand. But the thing is that you just keep on moving, so that you don't repeat the mistake again. But naturally you will commit something new tomorrow. That's okay. As long as you are not repeating it, we believe that it's totally fine. And that's the same culture we try to inculcate within the team also. We're given the full freedom to the team that do whatever you want to do, as long as it's planned and there's a forecasted result, do it. Doesn't matter even if it fails. So I think that freedom also matters a lot to the team, because as founders, you can't really get involved in each and every decision making. You have to empower them, you have to delegate. At some point in time, you have to just let go of them. You decide whatever it be the case. But again, the only thing that you have to do is give the freedom, give the space, but ensure that it is planned and they don't commit the same mistake again. So that we were really, so that comes to the team part, I think, because it's again, we were lucky to get a very good team, I would say. Because building, that's something which we used to discuss also initial days. If we want to start in Bangalore or do we want to start in Cochin? It has its own ground advantage if you are in Cochin, but people were an issue. I think Jyothis might be able to add more, because he was building a team for Cognicore in Cochin, and it would have been really difficult, right?
Yeah. So way back in 2013, when I started this, landed that Spanish company. So I was the first employee. There were only 2 founders. They were based out of Barcelona. And we were starting something very niche at that point of time. It's a conversational AI chatbot, and that was not like this where people were talking about AI a lot. At that point of time, it was quite interesting. People were we have to convince them saying there is something called AI, right? Forget about solving their problem. There is a technology called AI. First, we need to teach them. And one fine day, I just tried to give a call to one of the bank which is based out of Kochi, but they said they can't give an appointment because I didn't take an appointment. But I started talking to them, and I think in a 2 weeks time I got an appointment. I started pitching this idea to them. Apparently they started liking that idea, and they started getting that product as well. So from there I was thinking, okay, this is a good place to build a team, because we got a customer, now we have to build a product and get the team. One of the main challenges I was facing is that there was no good tech resources here, because 2013, that is a point where everyone looking at Bangalore or Mumbai or Hyderabad to get a tech jobs. And what I did is, first I started talking to the colleges, professors who's actually working on this area of NLP or AI side. And we went to the college, and we actually sort of selling our company vision at my previous startup, saying that this can happen this way, Kochi is the right place to grow, and so on and so forth. That's the way we started attracting the talent. We can't even afford the experienced people, right? So they were pretty expensive, and they would be probably not available in Kochi. That would be probably in Bangalore or some other places. So that's the basic thing we started doing it. And from there we start building this company from 1 person to around 70. And that journey was literally, how can I say, it's a very difficult journey, and I learned a lot in terms of the identifying the importance of an HR, right? Or a talent acquisition. And that point of time, I keep discussing with Deepu also. Even Deepu at that point of time was responsible to build a team, a global distributed team in Oracle. So even we sort of resonate each other, we sort of respond to each other that there is a problem exists irrespective the size of the organization. Because one is in a startup and other one is an Oracle. So it's a big company. But there is a problem which exists in both places. That's the time we started thinking about this idea that, okay, Zappyhire. So basically Zappyhire is a technology we are trying to use to automate the entire hiring process, starting from the job description until the pre-onboarding stages, right? So because if you look at it, the hiring is a very old style of process till today. I think it has been, people are looking at Naukri for last 20 years. Nothing happened, right? So what we are trying to do is, we are looking at, can we do sort of an automation so that the days of hiring can be reduced. Second, can we also try to get some inferences out of this total hiring data, so that we can start recommending to the recruiter, saying that, hey, for this particular job, you need to post in XYZ location, right? For this particular job, probably you will have already 5 to 6 candidates within your corpus, within your historical data. So that's the second thing. We were trying to understand, can we look at this historical data and try to give suggestions to the HR people, right? Apparently, HR is the domain where less technology adoption happened, right? If you look at fintech, it's already a lot of celebration, a lot of people adopted it. But when it comes to the HR, the technology adoption rates are little low, and in terms of giving the solution with the cutting edge technology is also very low. So that's the point we identified, okay, there is an opportunity to build a product and deploy it, right? And we have something on the other hand side, it's like as a candidate, you need to take a selfie video. From this video, system will automatically come up with a personality trait, like how this person, based on the Big 5 model. So Big 5 is a model where it will actually predict is that person is a dominant person, or is it influencer, or whoever it could be, right? And second, lot of job required a good communication articulation skills, right? Sometimes when you talk with the customers, international customers, for those kind of role, you need a language test. So the system will automatically do it. There is no human required on the other hand side. So it come up with a TOEFL sort of a report. Second, it's also come up with a personality trait report. So even before you talk to your candidate, all this data will be displayed on you. Around 16 plus data points will be displayed, including the video of that person, how he articulating, and these 2 reports, which is automatically generated by the system. Right? From here, there are a lot of automation things we have identified, like scheduling the interviews and so on, offer letter generation automatically, so on and so forth. So to the customers, we say 3 value proposition. One is it's a candidate-centric recruitment system, meaning we give a lot of improve the experience of the recruitment, because we as a company strongly believe that recruitment should not be a process-driven; it should be an experience-driven. The process-driven sort of things are all over. That's dead. Resume is dead, right? So we don't believe all these things. And secondly, is the automation aspects, and get some inferences or recommendation from it, right? So these are the 3 aspects we push to our our customers.
So maybe I think in that the post and we saw that there are 2 aspects that was related to today's session. One was the struggle of creating a SaaS product, and another was our investment journey. So again, as a company, we had a bigger vision. We had a global vision. We never wanted to be local, or we never wanted to. What we thought was that we have to go global. It should be one of those cutting-edge projects that people should talk about. Like we have the Zoho, or we have all those big corporations across. From India itself, right? So just by, even that's a notion. Like when we go to investors, they say, "Oh, this is a Kerala-based company." All right. So the valuation, they have a predefined mindset when it comes to valuation for Kerala. I don't know for what reason, but the same company, the same people. If we were in Bangalore, the valuation would have been high. Sad truth, but
very strange.
And even investors from Kerala think like that.
Yeah.
So that's
maybe
another
they are
side.
the people who actually implemented this.
Yeah, so that's always strange. So from that perspective, we thought that still we thought let's try it out in Kerala, because we were confident that we can actually build a team. Because as Jyothis was saying, we being a startup, and we didn't infuse so much of money. From a middle class kind of upbringing, and I wouldn't say austerity measures, but we were really cautious when we were putting even 1 rupee into the company. But we were even very cautious that we will take salary also. Even if it is very small, we said we will take salary from the very first month, because Jyothis and Deepu is separate, company is separate. Even though it is your company, it's 2 different entities. So we are drawing the salary right from day one. Even if it's a very small amount. So from that particular moment, for every single rupee, we said that okay, this much is the max that we will put, and nothing beyond that. And by then, we have to start making revenue. And that was very aggressive. We were saying 6 months, 7th month, we have to be revenue generating. And luckily, we were able.
We were profitable.
We were profitable in the first year, which was a good thing. But now I wouldn't say it's a good thing, because you have to grow. Profitability is not the thing until last year. But yeah, with COVID and all these things, now people are more focused on profitability. That's a different thing. But we were profitable, but still our aspiration was to grow global. So we thought, rather than being the co-founders of say $1 billion company, we wanted to be a co-founder of $1 billion company with maybe 60% share in that, probably. So that's when we thought, let's think about growing, let's think about team ramp up, let's think about investment. And that's when we thought, okay, now is the right time to get an investment. So naturally, you go to any investor, it's a kind of a chicken or egg situation. They'll be asking for a lot of revenue. And if you need to have a lot of revenue, naturally you need to have a good team, you need to have a product. And for you to have that, you need to have money in hand. So it's a cycle, it's a vicious circle. It keeps on going. But then luckily we had this one initial customer. Then we onboarded our second customer. Second was
PH.
Yeah. Second customer, it was a hospital in Kerala itself. And then we onboarded our third customer, which was another bank, one of the leading banks in India. That's when, not luckily I would say, the product was good at that time and people were seeing value in that. So the second customer offered that, can I invest in your company? So for us, it was a validation. Like if a customer using the product is becoming an investor, the other way around is much easier. Your investor becoming a customer is like, it's your own baby, so you don't have an option, right? You have to use it. But the other way around, like being a customer and then deciding that, can I invest? That was like a validation for us. So that was a moment we thought, actually probably we can actually grow. So at that time we were like a five-member team, including both of us. We were just a 5-member team when we had our third customer. And then that investment happened. It was not a great 100K kind of, in 100K US dollars. So that with that actually we ramped up to around 10 people or so. And then at that time we were not a SaaS, like SaaS as in, I hope most of you understand that, but just for the sake of clarity, until then it was like one deployment, one set of product for one customer, even though it's the same thing. We were customizing, we were open for customization at that time. But then we knew it's not scalable. The moment you start one installation for one customer, if you want to have 1,000, if you want to have 10,000 customers, that's not practically possible, right? It's a like linear revenue, how you call it. It's not like a non-linear revenue. Like you increase the number of people, your revenue will increase. So it's a linear growth, which is not what you need, which is not the investors never want, right? So that is when we thought, let's make a SaaS product. Then we started focusing on SaaS. At that time, COVID hit. So totally, I mean, it was like a chaos. Nobody knew where the economy was heading. Nobody knew. Hiring stopped, for that matter. So we thought, okay, now that's it. But luckily, what happened was that until then, recruitment, this remote recruitment, online recruitment, automated recruitment was like a luxury. Because people could really walk into the office and show themselves up and say that I'm looking for a job, worst case. But now, with people locked inside the room, inside a house, this was no more a luxury. It was a mandate. They wanted to have a system in place. And that's when we were able to start pitching. People were willing to listen to the story at least. Forget about buying, but at least people were open to listening. Okay, such a product exists, it's good. And I think that was kind of a pivoting point for us. With this COVID, people started accepting it. We were able to get a lean period, a slack period during that time because there were not much sales happening. So the team were able to focus on that. But there, we were not sure when the next investment would come in. But by then we had almost 8 to 10 people. The cash burn is going up, revenue is not growing. Then we got one project, some side project, each for a very brief duration. It's a service project kind of thing. We thought whether to take it or not. So we managed some resources from outside. We didn't get involved in that, but we just helped them and it was like a revenue generating piece for us. It's so tempting, The service projects, the problem is that it's a consistent source of revenue. But the problem is your focus will go on somebody else's project. So you as a startup founder, you have two options. Either you focus on a project or you focus on somebody else's project. So though we saw that it was a cash cow, you could get a lot of revenue from that, but it's a service. You don't increase the value of your company. There is no valuation increase, nothing, just that you keep on getting money. So that time I think we discussed quite long and we decided that let's stop it. So further that was a big decision. Like we were saying no to like a very good revenue per month committed amount. The customer was saying, why don't you guys continue it? We took a very hard decision after a few months itself, let's stop that project completely. Gracefully we told them that we are not going to take it, we are not going to continue because we want to focus on our product. So for us it was like such a small company with a very limited resource. Saying no
that
to
project was from France.
France, it was an international project. That project was from France and we were getting like reasonably good, very good revenue per month, which could actually mean that we didn't go and take a next round of investment. We could have gone to that stage. But then we said, let's not do it. And that I think that time it was a very tough decision because we didn't know if the investment doesn't come in, we would have been in a soup. But we had to take that call. But I think that paid off. From that moment, I think we started growing steadily. We were able to focus mostly on the SaaS. And interestingly, the customer to whom we said no, apparently turned out to be like the key person who helped us to gain our first French customer for a SaaS product. Yeah. And he's still in touch with us. So I think
they are still our customer.
He's still our customer. So I think that is kind of a certain decisions that you take in between, right? I mean, which you may find it's a very bad decision, tough decision to make. But I think those are the things which pays off because that again adds one more pressure. Like you have a family, you have things to do. That's the pressure. Then you said no to a good committed amount per month. You said no to that. You don't have an option now. You have to succeed. You have to build something which can scale. So I think that was one of the pivoting point for us to say when we said no to a committed amount. That was like a big decision for us. And from that particular moment onwards, I think we started building our SaaS. We onboarded our first customer. I think Sophit was the second or third SaaS customer. Yeah. So from that it was a great journey, I would say. We steadily increased from a 2-member team, we are now like 40-member team. And a 40-member team, primarily people are in Kerala, and we were able to build a really good team here. When I say really good team, people who are motivated towards a single dream, who believes that he can build a unicorn. So
Amazon.
We have a product manager who's from Amazon. She's an ex-Amazon. Then we have people, one of the person who was in sales was from Siemens. So we had a very good set of people joining us. So again, it's not the salary that we offer, it's actually the vision that we all share in common. I believe that's the main thing. And that's another thing, right? Even though we were like a 20-member team at that point in time, we decided that let's have a vision and mission for the company. So at that point, it was too early. If somebody hears that, why do you always want to have Infosys have vision, mission, values, all the big companies have it. So we were like a very small team. Why do you really want to have it? But we believe that let's do it. So we, spent almost 3 months on and off to decide what is a vision, what is a mission, what is the value of the organization, which I think is helping us now. Because in every decision, whether it is hiring or whether when we have to say no, what we have to, like if at all we have to burn some midnight oil, what is that thing that we will die for? So all those things are documented, it's there on our website, but I think these things helped a lot, like to set a very strong base for the company. Like if you have a strong base, a strong team, you will grow naturally. So it's not just about the business idea, right? I mean, business idea is very easy. It's always easy to say an idea, but to execute it, you need the right team. And that to a place like Kerala, I mean, it's a little difficult because you won't get a person who is ready to deploy. It's very difficult. I mean, not undermining, because there are a lot of good care, but they are not here. Everyone is outside. Yeah. That's the problem. So with the available resources here, to build a great team, you need to build them from scratch. So you need to work with them, you need to, hang out with them, you need to teach them. So it's like, it's like raising a kid. Like they are typical freshers, and from them, all they have seen is that, like, I myself can see how a service organization mentality, like we both were from Infosys. So it's a great company, great, but the attitude is a little different. Like the way you have everything from a customer. Customer says what do you need, and customer is the king there. And in a product or in a startup, in a product, I would say, it's not the customer, it's the product. And product will work for the customer. So it's a slight difference. So end of the day, customer is at the center, but still people have to look at the product, not at the customer. So that philosophy itself is different. So to groom a set of people to work on a product was challenging. So I think that is what we were struggling at. But now I'm very happy that we have a bunch of people, that 40 people who are like bang on. We can say that they are not software engineers, they are like product engineers. So that team building, I would say, was the key to our whatever we are in a limited fashion. I think it's that effort that we have put into building a team. It could be like just going out for a beer with them, so that next day you again come and work as a single team. I think these things help a lot, building the right rapport, working with the team, be with the team until the last person goes out of the office. So I think these kind of things helped us a lot, I think, right?
Correct. So the culture we try to induce is more like a trust-based culture, right? Because we trust our employees, we trust their intentions, right? And give them a space to come and grow and do mistakes. We always say do mistakes, that's okay. Do mistakes and learn from the mistakes, right? One of the costliest part of a mistake is not learning from it, right? But if you can learn from that mistake, that's fine to do mistakes. And the idea of building a company is to create a space where people can come and do experiments and learn from it and make it something better, right? And other challenges we are facing is just building a SaaS company in Kochi. So I don't know how many people know. So India is going to be the B2B SaaS capital of the world. It's already proven, and everyone is looking. That's why all the VC capital firms are coming to India and start investing into B2B SaaS companies. And if you look at it, in India, Chennai is the capital of it. If you look at it, two companies, Freshdesk and Zendesk, the Zoho, both are from Chennai. So lot of marketing, sales, the way you market your product, the way you sell your product in SaaS is totally different. It's a different world altogether, right? The way you pitch or the way you articulate your values in SaaS is different. So identifying the people, especially the marketing and sales people who can sell or who can play this SaaS game was very challenging. I don't know if anyone actually exists in India, in Kerala especially, who can do a pure SaaS marketing play. Very difficult. So I tell to most of my network colleges say that there is a huge opportunity for the youngsters who wanted to come to the software field, learn SaaS marketing, SaaS sales, or even customer success management team, right? That's also growing heavily. So all the well generated which we were seeing before, in our market, for example, it could be L&T or Infosys. Next 20 years, the well generated is going to come from the SaaS space. So those going to be change the face of India, and it showed a lot of, for example, the recently one listed company called Delivery. I don't know if you guys heard about it. Delivery is one of the best example for us. Razorpay is another one which is going to go IPO soon, right? That's going to be a next unique. I think they are on the unicorn, but they are going to create a massive wealth in India, right? And they're going very rapidly. So the idea is simple, right? You build a product from India or anywhere in the world and you sell it. you sell it across the world. Even in Zappyhire, we sold our product to a country called Republic Dominican, right? Through just emails. And they were speaking in Spanish, they can't even speak in English, right? So we can't talk each other. So we just typed and sent across emails, and within 2 weeks we closed that deal. We closed the deal, they're using our product. And apparently we changed our English version to Spanish version also. Now it's quite easy, right? If I wanted to change that into English to German, easy. Because I can just take a replication of what I do and put it there. So there is something called CAC, customer acquisition cost, is going to be very less, or you need to keep a very less for the SaaS company. Because it's more about, not about the margins, but it's all more about the volume of business you do. So once you build it, your cost would be like this, then the cost is going to be sustained and the revenue will go up. That is how the beauty of SaaS, right? Once you build it, it's more like you can just replicate that same code for the XYZ customers and then get it done. It's not like you build one and replicate the same thing or build the similar product for another customer. When it comes to the second round, at that point of time moment, we are sort of a do or die situation where either we have to say no to this big money coming on every day or every month, and or otherwise we have to go with the revenue and forget about the SaaS part. And that is the point where we decided to go for the second funding round. And we don't want it to dilute our equity a lot. That is one thing we don't want it to do. We as a founders, we value our equity a lot. And we know that that's a power of equity. And we are also from that thought school, that the funding is not the thing to do. And when we open up our second round, apparently the first four, in fact, contributed 20% of what we were looking at from our own customer. So four of our customers turned to be our investor. So they immediately said, we are on for the investment, right? So that actually gives a lot of confidence. In fact, that is the point we started believing, okay, we are doing something valuable, right? At that point of time, it was sort of a little, of course, the first round came from another investor, but this is a bunch of investors decided to come and invest in your product or in your company. And we apparently got, I don't think it's a struggle, it was within a 2 months of period of time, we got a common agreement, and the amount which we were looking at sort of filled. It's somewhere around $500K USD, so $500,000. We raised it quite easily. And then the term structure and the process would take some more time, but apparently we were quite good in that point of time. And when we closed our second round, we were around, I think, 13 or 14 customers, that's it, right? So from 13 to 14 customer to 40, which happened last 1 year, right? So the growth we were actually showcasing to the customer, and apparently that is something which is getting the confidence to the some of the VC firm from US as well. So we are in a discussion with the multiple other VC firms to raise the next round. But we don't want the money right now, but people are saying you have to raise the money when you don't want the money, right? So that is a point where you have more power to tell. Otherwise, if you need the money, you go and discuss on the table, your side will always low. Your voices will be low. But if you have money, go and talk to the people, say, I need money. Now, if they even say that they don't want to be invested, you say, fine, that's okay, right? So there is a walkaway power we have, right?
Yeah, I think that's how that entire journey, I think it's like, as I said, next week we'll be completing 4 years. So from a 2-member team to a 40-member team, from just one customer. In the last 1 year, we were able to close this 42 customers now. So, so I think the main point that worked in, one of the other points that worked in favor is last December, we were in actually the Thai event, we were in Thai, Dubai. And that was the time that we were discussing that we are actually growing, I mean, organically or inorganically, how we want to call it, we were growing. But then we said, let's keep a target. So on that day, we decided that while we were in Dubai, so during the Thai summit, we said, okay, let's do one thing. Let's put a target of 100 customers. By 2023 March, we should have 100 customers. And that's when we said called the team and said that let's have a target of 100 customers by this one. So we called it Mission 100 Customers. And that was a time when everyone started getting aligned. And all the presentations that internally we use, we started having this Mission 100 Customers on one corner. So people started seeing that, people started saying about it. So every single team, whether it is customer success team, support team, engineering team, sales, marketing, everybody, product team, QA, everybody started saying, okay, now we have, I think at that time maybe around 15 to 20 customers. 20 customers we can actually manage in this way, like how are they managing? Maybe a lot of manual intervention, a lot of physical involvement. With 100 customers, you can't really afford to do that. A lot of things has to be automated. A lot of things has to be like, it just has to happen automatically. Then people started thinking, okay, if I want to be ready for that 100, I shouldn't worry about that problem when we are on 99. You have to start thinking about it much ahead. So from, I think, January, I would say, we had an offsite in our office. The entire team was there. We were around 27, 28 people at that time, I think. 28 around people at that time. So we had a 2-day workshop and we discussed a lot how we can achieve this 100 customers, and each track was assigned with, you come up with a plan. How is your team gonna manage this 100 customers? So everybody said, okay, if I go the same route that I'm in currently, they won't be able to do it. So everybody started thinking internally within the team, they came up with a plan, and then we started building something called OKR, the key result area type. I mean, it's a Google's very proven framework. Like everybody is given a task or a result to achieve. They work towards the result. So maybe the marketing team would be, if you want to have 100 customers, they work backwards. I need to have this many people coming into the website so that I get this much leads from that, so that I can close this much. So everybody started working backwards. Customer success. Okay, if I have 100 customers, how many people do I need? Which all manual activity should I take off from the process? Everybody, engineering team, you name it, like every department started getting aligned to that decision. So I think that common goal is, I would say, if some of you are into that startup space, or if you want to be in the startup arena, I think not just the founders or the promoters of the company, but the entire team should be aligned on that same goal. I think then it's much easier. That's what we have seen so far. Like the last 1 year, I would say, last 8 months, we've been like in that path, and people are looking at it. And even we have a newsletter that the talent team or the HR team sends every week. And on the right top corner, you have the client count, 42 out of 100. So that's like a reminder, you have still.
Sales team always under pressure.
Yeah. But that's how it works, right? I mean, unless and until you have that pressure, you won't go. I mean, you'll be happy with, this month you get 8 customers or 10 customers, yeah, good. But unless you have that 100 mark, okay, 8, you have to do something more. And only so much time is left. So I think that is something which we have learned on the fly, like having a goal, set a goal, get everybody aligned to that goal, and then work towards it. Yep. Anybody into the startup space here? Yes. What do you guys do?
We are a feminine hygiene and personal care startup called FemiSafe.
FemiSafe, okay.
We are into feminine hygiene and personal care. We are a D2C startup.
D2C startup. Okay. And how old are you guys? How old is the startup?
28.
No,
Started 2 years old.
2 years old.
Almost 2 years. It's going to be.
We complete 2 years in August.
In August. I think you can probably relate to a lot of these things.
Yeah.
Yes, almost all of them.
Like as you said, when we go to investors, when we say, okay, we're Kerala, they have this, okay, Kerala. But I always tell them, I think we have to shift to Gurgaon or, Bangalore.
Yeah.
We might be able to raise it very fast.
Yeah. I think, the ecosystem is matured in Bangalore.
Yeah. Bangalore
Every
Gurgaon.
every coffee shop you go, people are talking about SaaS and people are talking about product. And it's quite interesting. I think it will come to that sort of scenario will come to Kochi also, but it will take its own time.
I think you need one success story, that's it. One big exit from here, one big unicorn from here, I think.
Yeah.
We have open.
We have
Yeah, we have one open.
Yeah, we all know Open is not from
Kerala.
Kerala, right? Even though they have a registered office in Kerala, but they are operating from Bangalore.
Yeah, they are already from
Bangalore.
Yeah.
So technically they are not in. But you need a couple of good SaaS companies here. A couple of good companies who actually can generate revenue, can generate employment.
Born and brought up here in
Yeah.
Kerala.
But DNA should be.
You guys are there.
Of course, I think there are a handful of companies now who actually show that promising.
CareStack.
CareStack is there. It's a Trivandrum-based company. They got a strategic investment like 2 days back from Strawman Group in Switzerland. So they're a strategic investor. So, CareStack. They're into dental. It's a dental ERP. Yeah. So they are a good promising company.
They are our customer also.
they are a customer also. So there are quite a good companies that are growing as in the SaaS arena from Kerala. So I think it will change, but as you rightly said, Kerala, when people have this, I don't know for what reason, but when it comes to investment,
It's very
like the
very
second
different.
Yeah.
tier. Right. What do you work on?
We are working on an automobile web portal.
Automobile web portal.
Aggregator platform.
Aggregator.
Aggregate.
Dealing with the infrastructure.
Okay.
Any other questions if you have? Because one side is like a radio, right? So
One doubt, like you're not from software background or startup, but when you decided to go for HR kind of
Customer driven. It was like we had this idea, we were discussing about this idea, and then, as I said, luckily we got a customer with the same set of requests. As Jyothis was saying earlier, right? From his standpoint, he was running a startup. There were recruitment challenges. I was working with Oracle, and I had to build a team across St. Petersburg in Russia. We had a team in Beijing in China. I had a team in Brussels. We had a team in Hyderabad and in Bangalore. It was a widespread team. Germany, we had a team. US, we had a team. And at that point also, I was probably into product management. I was a product manager of the Java language at Oracle. It's the same set of problem. Like in a startup, whether it's an MNC, the problems remain the same. I'll tell you a story. And he contacted the talent acquisition team. They shared some profiles, and one profile they were interested. They called the person, and he's nowhere related to VB.net. So they asked the talent acquisition expert, like, why did you share this? The only commonality was his name was some Sadish VB or something. So basically, not to undermine the talent acquisition, because they are under so much of pressure. It's like a sales job. They want to close the position. So it was like the age-old Control-C, Control-V, Control-F, and find what is the matching profile, share it with the hiring team, and it's like a big bang. Just give everything and then hope that it's like a spray and pray model type straight. So that is one of the area that we felt because this was even now there are a lot of companies who still work with Excel sheets in recruitment. So what's going to happen is that you might be closing numbers, you might be getting the recruitment, but the problem is, are you getting the right set of people? Or are you utilizing your exact, like you might be sitting on a top of thousands of profiles who have applied for job in your organization. And maybe they were not a good fit at that point in time. That doesn't mean they are bad. Maybe when a new requisition gets opened up, you can actually utilize that particular resource and they might be really good. So when we looked at that problem, this is a very valid problem. And I was working in Oracle, and Oracle is the developer of one of the biggest recruitment or HR tech platform called Taleo. When I used to recruit, I used to use Excel sheets. Once the entire recruitment is done, I send the details to the talent acquisition team and say that update in Taleo. So you can imagine a company who was building Taleo was using Taleo like this. It's an ERP, it's not intelligent. It's not used in a proper manner.
More digitalization, no automation.
Not automation. That is when we thought, why can't we apply this intelligence? Like every organization can't afford or won't be lucky enough to use the power of the data and automate that entire recruitment, if not entire, like in you say, right? In recruitment, it's basically human at the core and technology at the fore. That's what people say. You can't replace a recruiter from the recruitment process. You can't do that. Or manage that funnel. You have 500 people applying for the job. Maybe you might want to engage with that 50 and not the entire thing. So how do you arrive at that 50 from 500 in an autonomous manner? Autonomous. So that is where we want to be. Like it's not even automated. We want the system to be, which is currently working in progress, that it should be autonomous. We don't want the recruiter to be worried about all this administrative overhead. It should just work like that and say, hey, this is the data that I have kept ready for you. You start engaging with them. And a personal engagement with the candidates is required now. You need to get personally engaged with the candidate. But can you afford to engage personally with the entire 500? It may not be, right? So that is where you need to have a system which can help you to arrive at that top 30 or 40 or 50 where you can personally get engaged with the maximum data points. And our system even can, in our premium plan, we can even get to the extent of like how to talk to that candidate. What are the things you should avoid while talking to him? And all these data points can be derived from his personality insights. So that is how we made a difference. And a few of our customers, some of the banking customers, they have hired almost, I think, 3,500 to 4,000 candidates in the last 1 year through our system. And this AI video interview, I think around 24,000 AI video interviews were taken in the last 12 months alone in our system. So they're using it and they find the value in that.
So that report even talks, reports even talks to you how to articulate that entire conversation with the candidate. Maybe that candidate is a very aggressive candidate. So you cannot be aggressive there. You need to play slightly differently, right? So some people, if they are not very very expressive or they are not talkative in nature, they will be not responding when you ask the questions. So you need to be little probing in model, right? So those things will be even suggested by the system for the using our robotic interface.
I would like to ask a question.
Yes,
I'm
please.
not in the IT field. My brother is a consultant of my company. Okay, he started a startup. Okay, but I don't know he couldn't continue it. Now he's in Bangalore and he's working in Quest company. So I'm just asking you why it's difficult to start a startup and suddenly someone starting a startup. He's working.
Right.
He was working in an American company, but I don't know why.
He was full time into startup, is it, when he did it? I think people say 90 to 95% it fails.
He's not, he's like a business person actually. He's not.
Yeah, that's the team. I think what we are saying now, the team matters, right? Like you need to have a right team because as a
He's
startup.
good at his job, but he's not good at it.
Yeah, I think the team is what matters. You need to have sales. You need to have somebody with a finance background. Everything is required if you want to run a successful startup. So you can't hire a person with all the skill in the initial days, right? So that team matters. Where, like in our case, product and engineering, I was confident and I was handling. Marketing and sales, Jyothis was handling. So we were like very focused in terms that this part he will manage, the other part I will manage. So it was a clear segregation of duties. So like all those basic checkpoints, product, tech, marketing, sales. These four has to be there if you want to start up a business. In a normal scenario, there are certain other companies with like a pure tech startup and you don't want anybody, you build on a product like the Mark Zuckerberg model. I mean, but that happens once in a while. You can't say that's a general model which applies everywhere. But one general model that is applicable everywhere is at least to give a genuine try is in good initial team. That matters a lot. And the rest is basically, even if you have a good idea, how you convince and get the initial set of customers, how you market it. You might be sitting on a very good product, but how can you convince somebody to buy it? Because business is all about getting money from somebody else's pocket to your pocket, and it's not easy, right? I mean, somebody has to pay.
And I think it's easy to work in an American company than to work in.
As a customer?
No, he was working
Okay,
as I don't know, he was staying.
I mean, we both were working with Infosys, and given an option, if I want to go back, I would happily go back to Infosys, which is a totally Indian company. I was working with Oracle, but I would prefer Infosys over Oracle. It's the value and vision of the company. That's what I'm saying. Like when Jyothis was saying some time back, the culture that we are trying to inculcate in our organization is something like people should feel like working there. So it's I wouldn't generalize it like an Indian or American company. It's the attitude of the organization and the culture that they want to try.
He did his MS in America, he came back. Then now he's staying in Electronic City, Bangalore. And I don't know much about it. He's working in a company called Quest. Now he's happy in the.
Yeah, and that's what you can't generalize with US or Indian companies. There are a lot of good Indian companies. There are a lot of bad American companies also. So it's a matter of it's a company culture. And again, to start up success and failure, it's not purely luck, but a lot of planning would be in place. As I said, in our case, we had a good plan. I think we went to Cherai Beach before startup. We went there like I think for 6-7 hours we were sitting there and like
2 or 3 beers.
2 or 3 beers, I remember. And we were discussing, we had a plan for 6 months, a solid plan. And we said this much amount we will put from each of our pocket. And I think we didn't put even a single rupee more than that. And by then we were able to pull off. So I think luck is there, but I think good amount of planning, that is required. And that is one of the advantages if you start a bit late as well. Like, although you have this family pressure and everything on the other side, but that experience matters a lot, to be a little bit more composed.
He didn't have any experience.
I think that matters. I mean, again, there are a lot of examples.
There are a lot of good stories coming out from colleges. There are companies or a single owner company who's sold entire product for 27 crores or something when they were around 23 year or 24 year. This all happened, right? So, but once in a while, can't generalize it.
Your product is based on data, right? I mean, that's how artificial intelligence works. I'm not a tech person. These candidates and everything.
Yeah.
So do you work with certain specific spheres or sectors, or do you work with?
Yeah, we prefer IT, health tech as well. But these are the 4 areas we wanted to focus. The reason one, IT is of course the first one, the adoption is quite easy, and second, there is a need, as in lot of hiring happens in IT. So you could see that during the COVID, the first 2 months, everyone not very sure what's going to be happen. But by August 2020, everyone very clear that it's going to be here for some time, and we have to take this business to the next level. That's what we also see the surge of people hiring a lot, right? And everyone wanted a digitalized solution. So the order book of the IT companies goes up, right? So they need people. So that is where we see an opportunity, and even our sales went very high at that point of time.
And being from that field, I guess you understand a bit about.
Yes, we can talk to them, yeah. But talking to convincing HR is slightly different, right? Because we need to talk to their language, and secondly,
sorry to interrupt. Mobility is much higher than the IT sector. I mean, people change jobs and move. So I guess the requirement for HR there is slightly higher than some of the other.
Yeah, that is also true. And secondly, if you look at your mobility, the core or the base sales force people, right? Insurance, banking, pharma. These three sectors, the core sales guys are moving like hell, right? 40% and more than 40% is attrition, right? But their technology adoption is a challenge.
So how do you do your lead generation? I mean, because I'm a marketing person.
Okay, so as a SaaS sales side, right? What we will do is we identify the ICP, the ideal customer persona. So we actually start writing their background, right? So we will actually start modeling them. So this is a person, a 35-year-old guy, probably he did him MBA from HR, a BCom background or a BA background, not a tech background, right? And then we will segment them, right?
You're looking at the HR person.
We will look at HR person. So we will actually model our persona, our ideal customer persona properly. Once we model it, we will identify what the sales stages is going to be happening. We will first touch base with him, then probably he will generate interest, then we will give them a demo to him. Then we'll map the proper, how we need to articulate the values at the different stages, right? That is also we map it properly. And then with this model, we go and find out in different places, getting the data, right? So we can pay and get this data of HR people. But we don't want to go and take every HR people, right? We don't want to do that. So we go to, we tell that this person looks like, it's like a drawing that our ideal customer's picture. And with that picture, with that clarity, we go and talk to the lead generation companies or our own lead generators. We have inside sales team who will only generate the leads. Tell them that this is the persona which we will be looking at to touch base with. With that clarity, we know that different stages and different artifacts we need to deliver to them for each and every conversation we do with them during this process.
You already have some background in the company.
Yeah, and we use we adopt HubSpot, this is a CRM tool. The tool is giving us a lot of insightful data. On every month, we will sit and understand that how many calls has happened, how many conversion happened, lead to conversion and demo to conversion, and how many calls and how many people were ready, meaning touch basing to the demo conversion. So we have all the KPIs is marked properly, and now we know to get 100 customer, how many people I need to call on a daily basis. I back calculated, right? Now, if the resources are not there, I will hire the resources and put script, everything is ready, ask them to go and execute it. This is how we plan.
You mentioned about the banking customer. So what is the success rate for them? They were doing manually, now they are using your So earlier out of 100, their success rate is say about 20. They will shortlist 20. Has it improved after they taken
So I would put the value proposition slightly different. They were actually closing a position in 92 days initially, before Zappyhire. After Zappyhire, it reduced to 28 days. Right? So the time to hire, which is like cost to hire, has been reduced drastically. Right? So it's most essential. So for them, to getting the people and deploying the project is getting better. And before COVID, or they have to travel to different places, especially when they go and hire from the colleges or the campus. apparently they have to physically go and travel to all these places. And if you look at the cost, was too high because everyone have to travel and do all the things. When we introduced the system, there were little hesitance from the HR that they still believe that no, we have to go and try because that's an opportunity for them to go and travel and stuff like that. But when COVID hit, there is no other option. Now, but they actually hired around 1,200 managers from using this Zappyhire system completely digitally.
Even the group discussion was.
Yeah, even group discussions was happening through digital space. And then the management or the HR head understand that the value proposition here, right? You can even still do that. You don't need to travel a lot and put a lot of cost to hire the right people for you, right? So if you look at that value proposition we offer, one, the candidate experience is getting better. Even a lot of candidates, even irrespective of they hired or not, they still come and comment about the experience they had. See, experience is not like a rocket science. Even if you're giving them a right status about their candidature, that's also a good one. As Deepu said, you can't go and personally touch base with these 1,000 people who applied, but you can personalize the digital communication. You can go and, because I know you, if I know you, I have a resume, I can have a very personalized and contextual conversation using my chatbot, right?
Even so, one additional small point is, when a candidate gets hired in the specific bank that I'm talking about, their guardian or parents would get WhatsApp and SMS notification that your child is hired, congratulations. So that's like a wow factor. So it's like the bank communicating automatically, it's all automated, all autonomous mode. So that's kind of, these are the experience that you get, from the
some of the candidates, even before they reach their home, their mom got a call saying that, hey, you are child. So it's that, right? It's experience.
I've got the last point that you mentioned about. So essentially, Zappyhire is a virtual exam mechanism. I would say.
It is somewhere.
Probably. Okay. I'm actually a bit active in this part.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a virtual exam mechanism. I would say. To put it very shortly, okay, and too softly. My question is. See, the result that you're creating with your virtual mechanism is very good. And clients, this example that you said, the bank clients, they're able to see that now. But that is after they've tried it. How do you convince someone on that? Okay, when you're a fresher with say, an intelligent product. Okay, how do you convince someone that is, one of the questions which I've had. So, okay, what I do is I'm a chartered accountant. I've got virtual CFO as a product that I deliver. Okay, that I pitch. But I'm able to convince clients because I'm a chartered accountant, not because of the virtual CFO, the benefits of that. Okay, they get convinced later. Later on, they're like, fine, this is great. I can go with this. So how do you guys convince on that?
Okay. The reason we will say that there are a lot of work which actually taken out from you. Secondly, the technology, the AI, is not going to replace you. We pitched and say that to the HR that it's not going to replace you. It's going to empower you to take the right hiring decisions. See, imagine a situation before Zappyhire, you just get an Excel sheet where somebody updated about the comments and so on and so forth. Now, using Zappyhire, you're going to get a screen with a 16 plus data points, including the candidate's video, which is actually help you to take the right or well-informed hiring decisions, right? So the AI is not going to replace you. AI is going to help you to take the right decisions. So the virtual can't play because it's an HR. HR is human. So we don't want to take out that human part of from it.
Naturally,
but with the COVID, everything has changed. Everything has changed. Now they understand it. And secondly, they also see, as you rightly said, once you hired a person, how they perform, right? And they sort of have checked with the PMS data, performance management data, with all the assessment they did before. So they could see a correlation between the people who performed well in robotic interview doing well in their job. And we went to a very interesting story. We didn't actually share with you guys. We did something called gamification of the assessments. Meaning some of the traits, for example, affinity to numbers or attention to detail, you can't measure this kind of competencies by talking or a pen and pen test. What we did is, we collaborated with IIT Madras and we created a 3D world of that bank. And we invite the candidates to play that 3D game. So imagine, and the story we built is, we tell to the candidate, this is your first day at the bank. And he go and interact with the different personas or a responsible or a roles in that bank. So a digital person or an accountant or a teller, so on and so forth. And then they will explain, okay, these are the difficulties in my job, this is how I'm going to do. And at the end of this conversation, virtually we will tell to them saying a story, one person is leave on today, why don't you go and verify 10 checks in 2 minutes, right? So we put them into a situation, a real situation where they have to do it. So they can't go with the numbers, they can't go wrong with the numbers there. They have to be look at the numbers and they can't change it out as well, right? So some of the competencies which they can't measure at all with the normal, pen and paper test and face the test, this is you can bring to the gamification. And gamification is going to be the next thing in the hiring. In many companies in Bangalore, I start seeing people invite to play football. People say that I understand if I can talk to 1,000 hours with you or play one game with you. Both are give the same results. Now I know because your unconscious will go down, right? When you play, as an HR, I will look at it. Is holding the ball for a long time? Is he passing, right? Is he very focused to get the goal? So there are a lot of interesting experiments happening on the hiring with the gamification. Right? Gamification is not just that we invite them to do a game. In fact, we can create the game, ask them into a virtual situation as if they have started the job and see how they really perform in that virtual space.
Right? I mean, it's not just the private companies. Like for example, currently we are working with the government of Kerala also. So government of Kerala has this initiative called Kerala Knowledge Economy Mission, if you have heard KKEM. So Zappyhire is the backend engine for KKEM. So that's a huge project, huge in the sense that government of Kerala is planning to close or provide 20 lakh job opportunities, expecting around 40 lakh candidates in the system. There, this AI video interview, Zappyhire's AI video interview is being used. So our engine is used as a backend engine for this 20 lakh job opportunity generation in Kerala. So for us, that is like a validation that when the government is trusting one of the startups which is homegrown and entrusting the responsibility to, okay, this platform we will use, and it is used by a different academy, ICT Academy and Digital University Kerala, but the platform underneath this entire thing is Zappyhire. So for us, that is something which we believe that is kind of a clear validation that one, as a company, they trust, and two, as a technology, they trust. Because the government taking a decision is not like a one-sided decision. They have brought in, I think, HR experts from a lot of, from TCS and all of the major companies. They were on a meeting evaluating the solution, whether it's actually making sense or not. So for us, this was a clear validation. Like, we've been working with them for the last almost 8 months. Yeah. I think both around 16 physical job fairs and continuous, consistent virtual job fairs, online job recruitment, everything's happening now.
Physically challenged.
And there are women-specific job fairs happening across the system, diversity inclusion-based job fair for physically challenged. So what we say is that this technology is actually causing a lot of impact, on the society as well. Like, for example, now even what they're going to the extent is the Kudumbasri. Each unit, they're going to each doorstep and giving the flyers and asking them to install the app and then apply for the job which is there in the market. So for all these things, it's basically Zappyhire at the background.
So a lot of revolution happened during the COVID because the talent is being distributed from Tier 1 cities to Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4 cities, right? And before to get a good job, you have to travel to Bangalore. Now why? You can sit it at your home and attend the interview and get the job there. And a lot of US companies now open up. And the salaries we are getting now somewhere sitting in Kasaragod is humongous. They can't even imagine before, right? Because to get those sort of salary, they have to travel to Tier 1 cities and be part of the culture of the Bangalore or Mumbai to get that sort of city. Now it's sort of democratized, right? So it's like the talent also distributed. So digital technologies in hiring will definitely give opportunity to everyone. It's not only to the Tier 1 cities.
Phase the SaaS. So when you went to SaaS mode, I'm sure, like you said, you needed really smart salespeople, right? How relevant is a very structured, very dynamically structured sales model system for you? Okay, when it's a SaaS model, that's my question.
Very important, very important. See, in SaaS sales, you didn't even need to talk to your customers, especially if you sell to US or North America side. When even you are shipping, they will come and swipe their credit card and start using your system. It has to be that way. So the customer, the CAC, the customer acquisition cost should be very minimal. So there should be a way where they come and see your product, value proposition. They will go with a 7 days free trial with the system. They can just give their email ID and start using your product. Once they like it, just give the credit card, start using it. And there is no human intervention.
There's no human intervention.
No human intervention at all, especially in the selling. So that is called product-led growth.
No, I misunderstood.
Yeah.
I
So
thought there was a
it's a new term is coming up. Product-led growth. Is it product itself is going to sell?
Yeah.
Product is going to market itself.
Ideally, it should be there.
Yes.
So typically there are traditionally you can have sales-led growth, marketing-led growth and product-led growth. Like if you heard of Dropbox, if you heard of Slack, or DocuSign. So these are typical product-led growth examples. So you create a product and that stands for it.
Yeah. So you give a freemium. You give us a free but limited feature or limited time to use it. Once they hook them, that's it.
So that hook is, I mean, like basically, it's all about SaaS. It's like you have to have the foot at the door, so that you're just in, but you're not in. But the door is always open, and then it's like maybe a 20% conversion, so you can get inside the room. But that foot at the door is, most critical.
I want to go a little bit more into the past. So when that was going on, okay, I just thinking from my perspective. So you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know the situation. If it was me, I would have probably maybe set up a separate business unit, okay, or a separate business entity to run just that one particular contract. Because it's kind of
we thought about that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Obviously, at an additional cost, sure. Okay, you don't have to run it, get somebody else to run it, additional cost, etc., etc. But it's still revenue by doing nothing. Okay, so and when it's always revenue by doing nothing is always good. So that's what my thought process was initially when I heard that.
Even we were
Why
also
didn't
thinking.
you do that?
Yeah, this is all we'll all discuss this multiple times. And one thing we understand that for running any business, the main thing what we need is focus.
Of course.
Right? And the cost is the main cost is founder's focus. We don't want it to dilute in any way in that aspect. So that's the point we decided. Forget about the money. We need to focus. As both of us,
Because the last thing that we wanted was to spend your quality time helping other person build their company. Because for that, if that was the case, then we can happily continue with our the previous job itself, right? Not even 1 minute, I would say you should, like, if you can save 1 minute for your company, do that. Otherwise, it's better not to get into that business, because that matters a lot. Because for him, even you're working for a customer, and the moment you take even one single penny from him, you are accountable.
Yeah.
So you can't say that you take the money and then, okay, I won't get involved, let somebody else, because and that's what, even though we said no, we went to the extent, like this guy asked us to help evaluate another vendor so that we can get engaged. We personally helped him evaluate and find another company from Colombo, onboarded them, helped them, and that's how this guy helped us to get a French customer for Zappyhire. So that's what I think it's.
Till last week we had a call.
Yeah, last week we had a
and he was actually the innovation head of a global bank. A very well connected guy. And I don't know, with the influence of us or no, he rejected. He resigned.
He also resigned from there.
And then he started his own startup. Now he got a funding also.
Yeah, nice. So basically, it's about 100% focus. It's like raising your kid. You don't want to keep a nanny and say that, okay, since the nanny is there, I will take some time off, right? You don't do that. Your focus will be there. So I think it's startup also it's like that. Not even single 1 minute. If you have to deviate and focus on something else, you're not putting in 100%. Because when you're in the crux of the startup, right, you feel 24 hours is not enough.
Yeah.
So then
that's true.
We are also struggling. How can we detach 2 minutes from Zappyhire and be with us? Right? It's very difficult.
Because there was a time when 2020, I think Gandhwani Foundation, if you heard of it. So this is SMEs. So we got into that acceleration program, and forgot his name. One of our mentor.
Vijay from Bangalore.
So this guy was a mentor. So one question that he asked, the first question, we both were on a video conference, and this guy asked us to take a paper. Jyothis took a paper and I took a paper, a pen. He said,
before that, very interesting exercise. if anyone do startup, like if you guys are
Doing it,
co-founders,
right?
you should do it.
Very like you have to independently sit. Maybe you can sit in the same place, take a piece of paper, and write about your company in 10 words. Okay, about your company. Don't talk to each other. He asked us to write, and he asked us to read it out. And that, to our surprise, we wrote about the company in totally different ways. I mean, if you were given an option to say for 5 minutes, we would have almost said the same thing. But in 10 words, when we have to define a company, because that is where that DNA, the crux of the company is defined in 10 words. And we were totally wrong. And that is quite natural, right? So that's when he said, you have to find, there's something called a business canvas. You have to fill in the business canvas and identify what is a company all about. How are you gonna generate revenue? What is your channel? What is your typical customer? What is the revenue stream? How do you define a company? What is a USP? So these things, as a founding team, you should be very clear. So that was the biggest learning. Because if you have to pitch a product to somebody, or the co-founder should pitch in the same language. Because that is a product, right? It should not be like a scripted thing. It should come from you, it should come from the definition of the product. Point number one. And the next thing was that he asked how much percentage time are we actually operationally getting involved. Actually, primarily, majority of the time we were operationally getting involved, both of us. To the extent of even changing the data for some customer. Which is not a bad thing. We can do it once in a while, but not every time. So then this guy said that, why don't you create a leadership team, level 2 team for you? Yeah. So then that is when we started thinking about, okay, we need to have leads in another level of leadership. Even though it was like a very small team, when we were like around 15, 20 people, still we identified some 3-4 people. And then the verticals started forming. Sales, marketing, engineering, AI, backend. It was like this. Then engineering started dividing new front end, backend, AI. So when we started identifying leads in each track got structured. Now within sales, you have pre-sales, inside sales, the other normal sales, marketing, digital content, content writing, it starts getting spread and you start having a structure in the organization. So those were the key things which we learned from the Vadvani Advantage, an acceleration program. It was an eye-opening thing, like very basic things, but very critical as a startup.
Zooming out from your business and see as a third-person view is very important. Because as a founder with a very small team, we tend to involve day-to-day operations. And that's a rat race. And this is very addictive also. We'll do that and this and that and this. But we won't see this business as a business, whole business. And where are we heading towards it, right? So that large vision and the large goal, even if we are small, should be very clear.
Because initially we used to laugh at ourselves when we say million and billion. We are afraid to say that seriously, right? But then you get used to it. When you believe in that vision,
I still remember initially when somebody was asking about the funding, we were like 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs and so on.
We were afraid.
We were afraid because
are we worth it?
Yeah.
That type.
Yeah. So then we started talking about millions and that happened. That happened, right? It has really happened. And now we're talking about billions and millions. So I think that mindset is very important. I think now we need to teach our kids also to think in more entrepreneurial way than getting a job and settle somewhere and be there happy forever. Because it's not everyone's plate for sure. But if you create a business, the most exciting for us is you're creating a job, right? You're creating a job, and that it was not existing right before. So creating a job, supporting one person is supporting that family. I think that's very essential, I believe.
Supporting an entire ecosystem.
When we ask you to write about your company, what was he expecting? Both
We should be consistent.
Consistent.
But I don't think he expected that.
both had different ideas, right?
It's not a different idea. The the perspectives might be different.
So, for example, tell the value or the value proposition, articulate the value proposition of Zappyhire. I was saying something different, maybe slightly, he was saying different, something slightly. Then he saw that this is the problem, right? When somebody is asked, you should internally first say, this is the value proposition. And tell to each and every person who joined with you, even if it is an operational or office boy, he should tell what is this Zappyhire all about. A common goal, a common vision.
Mission is important. Like for example, if somebody asked us at that point in time, what's your target market? I would have said maybe Asia Pacific, he would have said global. So these are small changes, but that's a big difference, right? I mean, if the company's vision is to go global, you should think about a lot of different aspects. If your company's vision is to just be local and but spread across India, maybe the revenue might be the same, but the operational modality is totally different, right? So that's why to have a like consistent way in which how you want to grow as a company. And as you said, everybody should be in line with that. Every single person. They should have a common alignment on it.
Sorry for
No.
So you guys, since you guys started from literally from zero, from zilch, okay? You guys started over a bunch of years in Chennai, right? Okay, so my question is, and you guys mentioned that there are like this tech and the tech product marketing, and there are different segments that have to come together, right? Of these, say 4 or 5 segments, what do you think is the most relevant one for a company starting from zilch?
I would say marketing. This is one of the learning which I did through Zappyhire. Even before you create a product, you should market. Marketing is the key. So we are all thinking, because we both from the tech background, we were all thinking the product is, we have to create a product. Product is the first. Okay, of course, product is important, and that has to let the entire growth of it. But if you start today, you start market, you start selling. Don't think about product. Product will come to you. And the product is something which needs to be built as part of the, or as a result of the interaction with the customers.
It's a long journey.
Yeah, you should, I have seen many founders, they will build a product, they'll sit and build a product for a year, and they'll go to the market and market say this is not what I want. You go to the market first. Talk to your potential customer who is going to pay the money from their pocket. Ask them what exactly you need. And tell them this is what we are building. They say that no, this is not what we want. No, we'll ask them what exactly you need. So that's a probing. So they will give you, okay, this is the thing, I will buy it. So if you can create a fast, very minimal version, go and talk to them, this is what we built according to your need. Will you buy it? They said, no, I won't buy it because I need X, Y, Z also. No, build that XYZ and show them, will you buy it? Then say, yeah, I'll buy it. So basically the idea is, forget about the product initially, go and talk to the people, do the marketing and sales from first around.
Because what customers need may not be what you have in your mind. Because as a founder, right, you always have that affinity to, like, my idea is the best and I want to pivot. So that's a big problem, you know. We get so much attached to our idea. So even though you start getting signal, you'll be like, no, because I believe in this, I have to do this. And that's a mistake, I would say. There is nothing wrong in believing, but be practical. Look from a third person perspective. Will somebody buy it? You know? So do that market analysis, speak to potential customers, create an MVP and it's a clickable prototype. Don't go into the engineering first. Make them use it, what is the feedback, and then build it. That will help you go a long way. You know, you'll actually basically, one of the values that we have identified, that fixed set is do it right first time. So don't accept like, okay, it's okay to fail initially. Plan it and go. You know, there are certain things which you can actually do it right. Do it in that case. So these are the cases where you plan, you go to the market, you understand that. Like typical example would be Dainik Bhaskar. If you heard of Dainik Bhaskar is a newspaper in Mumbai based. Classic case study. Just read about it. They went into market on day one. They were one of the market leaders on day one. What they did is that they went to each doorstep. They spoke to the family. What is the problem that you're facing in your current newspaper?
What exactly you wanted to read?
Problem. They identified a problem, and then the first edition was with the feedback. So they had, 8 lakhs or some copy sold on day one. So that's a classic case study of, user market research and then launching the product. That's the key. But again, product is important. Product growth could be the key, but that's a long journey. Don't get obsessive about the product, and don't get attached to the product either. Features, let go of that so that you respond to the market need. Because you have to solve the problem, not your problem. There's somebody else's problem. Everyone's problem.
We'll still debate a lot whenever there is a feature comes in. You say this is important, probably you say no, that's not important. But when it comes to talk to the customer, they say both are wrong, right?
Yeah.
So there is no point of internally discussing that. That discussion has to be happened with your customer.
And that's why one of the initiatives that we have internally is something called the customer advisory board. So we have handpicked a few customers, and whenever we are launching a new feature, a couple of months back, we speak to the customer, show them the prototype and say, this is what we want to build, what do you think? So basically you are actually gaining that experience and expertise of the customers on the ground, and they are giving the feedback. And so again, it's all your strategy, right? I mean, maybe your strategy may not be to be the best in the market, it could be the second best in the market. I think one of our investors, like the founder of Heal. Yeah. So Rahul, yeah. So Rahul, what he always says is that it is easy to be the second best in the market, may not be the first. And target the second best, it's much easier to achieve than that you think. So I think that's also a good strategy, I mean, to start with. And once you're on the second, then think about being the market leader.
Is this solution appropriate only for small businesses, big businesses, or is it applicable for small also?
SMEs. We are focused on SMEs. So we were actually, this is also another question came to us that should we focus enterprises, should we focus SMEs? And we decided to focus SMEs because the sales life cycle is very less there, decisions are much faster, and they are more adaptive. Enterprises also will go and talk to them when we close big deals like recently Nest Digital is onboarded as a client, and a couple of other big clients are also coming on the way. For example, MIQ Digital, they are using our system. It's a US based company. There are around 16 plus offices worldwide. So big brand. But the problem is 3 months. We have to go and talk to them. The sales, the way the sales process is slightly different. We go and physically probably we need to talk to them, take them for lunch, and that's a different sort of a engaging with them and then take a decision. But here it is quite easy. You don't need to even talk to them, right? It's quite easy, as in maybe in 2.5 weeks you can close a deal. The deal size would be less, fair enough. You can close more deals within the same time frame. So eventually you are closing.
Situation with the investor, fund process earlier. So as a founder, how will you deal with that, and how do you prepare? What are things that an investor lose?
Depends on our product, I would say. If from an investor perspective, what matters is whether he will get the money back. Very simple point, right? So think from an investor perspective, what do you need to showcase to him if he should be convinced that he'll get the money back in say 100x? Simple point. So it could be the traction in the market, it could be the IP that you generated, it could be the pipeline that you have, it could be the USP that you have, it could be anything. So it purely depends on your product and your roadmap in front of you, so that whether you can convince the investor or not. Maybe there are companies who have very purely loss making very recently, but they raised for $3 million because their pipeline is good. They say that next 18 months we are going to be profitable. That model, the forecast that their business forecast that they have given is so promising. So it's not always a reality like today's profit. It's about how prepared are you, what is your team's strength. It shouldn't be just on paper. You should have a team of people, it should be convincing to them. And the story should be really convincing, and then I think it's good. So at least on paper, you should have a successful company in the next 18 months or 24 months. And a strong team and a story to substantiate that.
It's more of storytelling.
You should have a good story to tell. And that in a very defined time. You can't go like 10 minutes and 5 minutes to tell a compelling story. If it's typically an elevator pitch, right, you've got hardly 2-3 minutes. That's it. In 2-3 minutes, you have to gain the interest and get the second meeting from an investor. So that 2-3 minutes is what you have got to say, my company can potentially make money 100x for you. And this is superior, or this has a USP as compared to the competitor in the market. But these guys would know typically who is the competitor, who is your competitor by the time they're sitting in front of you, right? So first you have to be convinced that you're, again, convinced on paper. Like as a founder, we always think ours is better. Not really always, right? Unless you really, the reflection is required, whether you are really having a USP or not. That's why don't get attached to the idea. If you feel you don't have USP, you have to pivot. Or else it should be a similar domain. I mean, I don't want 100% market share. I'll be happy with 5% of the market share of the total addressable market. Good for you. But again, what is that you want to, what is your vision? Do you want to be a global company, or you want to be in a local market? Depending on that, it's your goal. You know? If you want to finish your 100 meters in 20 seconds, it's easy. But if your goal is to have it in 9.58 seconds, that's the target. So it's a target that you set. That's how it is.
The domestic funds coming out to like for startup funding actually increased. Like I am from a finance background, so I was selling wealth products. So I myself got some 4-5 funds, like India-specific funds. Some of them like targeting SaaS companies, like cornerstone ventures, like recently. So do you think being in this market, seeing funds coming from Indian players, like Indian retailers, like Payload and other things, coming into the market, or you still feel it is obviously dominated by overseas players, but you feel like funds coming from India itself now, domestic, flow into the startup funding space?
India, see, as in last 2 years, this has happened, right? As in, a lot of Indian VCs firms has been formed, especially family offices are coming up. If you look at HNIs in Kerala itself, there are a lot of people start investing. Jyothis is one of the best example in that, as he invested 2 or 3 companies right now. Eastern Group is starting investing. There are many prominent HNIs are starting investing in Kerala. So this is a trend, right? So this is a trend. Everyone understands that startup is an asset class.
Now you can invest in 1 CR.
Yeah. So even 10 lakhs. Even 10 lakhs, you can be part of a consortium of investors and you can just put 10 lakhs of that, which they will deploy to the right car. They will evaluate. The scan is there, right? So Kerala Angel Network, we have an angel network which they going to evaluate different companies and they will collect the money from individuals and then deploy to the company. So everyone understands that the startup is going to be the next asset class, and the returns are 10x and 30x, 40x type. It's not like percentage wise, right? So that's a huge difference is coming up. And last 2 years was the best in the Indian economy, right? Because lot of companies were infusing funds here. And recently, 3 to 4 months, liquidity was less because of US, interest rate was high, then people were, liquidity crunch was there, but still, it was a lot of low-level investment are happening. If they're talking about Series B and Series C, it's little difficult because people are little conscious in terms of putting large fund. But small investments are million and 3 million, 5 million type USD type is happening.
But the only difference is that going for the HNI round of investment is good in the early stage, but beyond that you need more strategic investors. Because you need to grow. Like, I mean, it's not just about money, right? Even if it is about, the same amount of money, you would rather prefer it from a strategic investor or a big VC firm because they know how to make you to the next stage, maybe to raise a Series B or C. So from that perspective, I think this funds, international funds will help us a lot, will help you guys a lot in raising and growing proportionally. Like you,
not even just to add a point there, you will not even fund, right? So for example, there are big corporates, they have investment funds, right? For example, Airtel. So they will have investment funds. If you think I am a company, ideally it should be acquired by Airtel, I can get investment from them initially. So they will know that how this they're growing, and they also know that okay, I invested, so can I acquire this company in future? So my valuation will be getting better over a period of time, and then maybe we will not say no to that acquisition initially, but towards the end we will say yes. But that's a strategical move we will do, right? So even every company, notice we are all looking at exit, right? At the end of the day, so we will also identify what are the channels where we can get exits, and we will even identify the companies and possible companies or possible strategies or relationship where we probably get an exit. So we can even start working towards to it. Somehow we will make sure we are getting noticed. We don't go and talk to them, can you invest? No. But there is an n number of different ways to make sure that they know us.
That is very much important because you can't go at the end hour and say that, yeah, I'm here. Like, be in front of them for some time. So naturally, it has to compete.
Make a lot of noise, but not to them.
Can you suggest some options?
Huh?
Can you suggest some options for me?
Basically, like for example, right? I mean, in our case, there could be you identify potential, say, acquisition targets. These are the companies that potentially. Maybe you can talk about strategic integrations, or you can go and talk to customers who are using their product and integrate with them. So slowly but steadily, you will start collaborating with them. Or maybe it could be that person might be visiting, or their strategy decision maker might be visiting some conference. He might be talking there. Be a sponsor in that event. So that name, that brand recall matters.
That happened to us also.
Visibility should be.
Yeah, EDHR conference which recently happened in Mumbai, we were the gold partner. And we know that all are coming there. The big bosses are coming. And we know that one of them can acquire us. Right? And we were there everywhere. We spent money on that. Decent amount of money to get it noticed there. So when we go and now they know, oh, I know Zappyhire founders, yes. Their bosses started coming to our booth. One of the potential companies, very big company, very international. Their founder came to our booth and they started talking to us. And we will also do the LinkedIn very much. We give a lot of shout outs and we even take photos and tag them and all the things.
But
cheese
that matters.
But that matters. Yeah,
Because that's only how you can
brand
stand
recall.
out.
yeah, that got acquired. So one of the strategies was trying to play there was initially when Notion was creating, there was no integration, no APIs were there. But the moment they came to know that they are starting API, they were offered a free testing, right? So they will also start integrating with them and then give them a report. This is not happening, that is not happening. So sort of a extended testing team for them. We have a common. Started discussing that he said that it was just starting with a LinkedIn message. And this person was know that this is going to ping me and the intention is this, right? So he planned that entire route and that Notion CEO was running through that entire plan, that path, whatever he wanted that person to walk.
So it's again, as I said, it's about the target, right? You want to get acquired, work towards it. You want to grow big, work towards it. You're looking for hockey stick growth, work towards it. So it's all about that. Be noticed. If it is customers in their arena, if it is investors, brand recall has to be there. We even run something called a Zappy Chat. That is a potential. It's like a chat show with potential. Industry leaders, HR leaders. So they are not our customers today.
Volvo
HR Head is the next one. So they come and speak. So we don't say Zappyhire anywhere. The name is Zappy Chats. That Zappy term is there. The colors are same. That's it. Nothing. No, not even a mention of Zappyhire. But when we have that chat before and after the session, they know us. This decision maker know us. Maybe 2 years down the line, we might go to them. Or they might resign. And there was a very recent incident that one of the a recruiter from a bank who's a customer, she resigned and joined another organization in front of them, and I think that will help a lot.
And it's very important to look at your customers and serve them to the core, right? So forget about the money or revenue you are making from them, and make a good rapport with your customers is very important. Customer first centric approach is definitely will help you to go a long way. But many things we are also learning. A lot of mistakes we do. We are also evaluated, right? There are cases where we did a very bad decision in some cases. But the good thing we did is we understand that there is a bad decision. And some cases we pivoting into XYZ position and then immediately understand that that's not the way. And then we close everything and we go to the other way around, right? I think that's the beauty of entrepreneurship also, that it's not the same problem you're going to face every day. It's a new things, and there is a lot of space for you to do experiments, do mistakes. And that is exactly the same thing we will tell to our employees also. Do mistakes, that's okay. But consciously and learn from it.
During next team work. So, either point team initially. So, either point team building up. Next 1 year, handle
Basically, if we look at the customer, initial product build so we hired 2 people. We had, including us, we were 4-member team. We started the development. But then we had the first customer, then we have to go in the intelligence route, we need 1 person there. So slowly but steadily, the business will demand what you need. But there is always a factor on the other side, how are you going to pay them? Always what we ensure is it's a commitment. Employment is a commitment, and of course you can be ruthless and say that it's business. If you don't do well, you just fire. But we don't believe in that. If it comes to that point, naturally we will do it, but we don't want to do it. So we always ensure that at least at 1 year of salary you should have committed from your side when you hire a particular person. Our consistency is very much important. So it's a balance, right? What business demands and what is your growth pattern and what is that commitment that you have in your pocket. How you can sustain. So during even the COVID time, we gave salary hike. So that's something which we are really proud of. During the entire 2 years, we didn't cut the salary. Instead, we hired and we gave salary hike also during. Though not like what we used to give, but we gave. So that is basically a plan. Financial discipline is very much important. But to answer your question straight and forward, it's business demand and then you hire. See whether you can adjust. There are certain situations there is a spike. So if you hire, you have a commitment, but you can potentially take a contractor and meet the demand. I would go for that first. If it is like a short-term spike where you quickly need 10 people, but you don't need them for 1 year. And hiring the 10 people and maintaining them for 1 year is like a huge financial constraint and burden on you. In that case, go for a trusted partner, contract them. Maybe the monthly cost will be high, but you don't have a commitment. You can stop at any point in time. We have done that also.
Still, developers can hire you. Where company work ചെയ്ത ആൾക്കാരെ ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് വേണ്ടി രാത്രി വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുമായിരുന്നു. അവിടെയൊക്കെ ഞങ്ങൾ മാനേജ് അപ്പോൾ അവരെ സംബന്ധിച്ച് ഇതൊരു അഡീഷണൽ ഇൻകമാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അവർ ഒത്തിരി ഡിമാൻഡ് ചെയ്തില്ല. അപ്പോൾ കുഴപ്പമില്ല.
We'll have a coffee tea session after this, so everyone can have a listening interaction. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, in the space, on behalf of Thai and industry, thank you. And I hope the session was informative to everyone. And I hope Zappyhire becomes the first unicorn of Kerala. Yeah, hopefully. And thank you so much.